been a few weeks. Had some family time away, which is always nice, and I took the pressure off myself to make a video while I was gone, and it was kind of nice. But I'm excited to get back in the saddle. So Zdravo, Dober Dan, and Annyeonghaseyo. Hey, it's Tom from Green Shorts, and I'm finding myself back at the crossroads of should and must. That's the name of a book that a friend of mine recommended several years ago, and the premise is that we often do in life what we're told to do, or what we should do. You should do this, you should become a doctor, you should become a lawyer, you should go to college. However, that often is in contrast or conflict to what we must do. In other words, what we're made to do. Just a special welcome to my latest patron, Tim and Rihanna. Thank you for your support. So today I'm actually going to tackle the siding on the front here, and I'm going to use some scrap concrete siding that I had left over from my house construction, as well as some wood that I've treated with Shou Sugi, which I did probably almost 5 years ago now. So back to the must. What I really like to explore on this channel in the next several months to a year is uncovering what my must is. I have a love for building things, for making things, for taking these resources that I have stockpiled here in my backyard and actually creating something from them. It's time to get to work. I'm going to cover this section with the Shou Sugi, which will require a mitered corner here because I've got my window here at an angle. But I think that's going to provide a nice accent for this corner. I'm slicing up some smaller scraps of sheathing to cover up the studs here. I really debated on doing this because I've got a 3.5 foot overhang on this roof, and it's probably never going to get the rain on it. However, I kind of want to do it right. Although this is probably not right. Instead of lapping the siding, I'm going to just use butt joints and seal them well. So I'm kind of going for a patchwork look here. Oh yeah, I turned off the compressor. That's why it's not going all the way in. I gave myself a bit of a challenge with this particular piece going vertical here on the bottom, but I thought I'd see if I could cut that. better than I thought it was going to be. Day 2 on this project. For my trim, I just have basically ripped out some 2x4 into this L channel, and it's basically just going to be enough to cover up the sheathing. The trim is going to leave a little reveal of the siding right here, and there's no way I'm going to be able to nail that, so I'm just going to use adhesive to attach it. Alright, so that was tedious. What you didn't see is all the figuring I had to do. I definitely have more respect for the trim carpenters out there, because the details there. That does not work well with my brain. But I got through it. That's what life's about. Perseverance. And knowing when it's time to put your readers on. It makes me happy that all of this was made from scraps. Yeah, that's right. Day 3. Stuff's taking me a long time. So today I'm going to add the sheathing over the corner there and then cut the Shou Sugi wood to fit. There's going to be a bevel here, which is going to make this an interesting challenge. But I'm looking forward to it. Finish up the final few pieces of trim. I ripped down some sheathing to size, and I cut a bevel on it at 15 degrees, which is actually half of that angle, that 30-degree angle. So that'll let me close up this gap on the corner really nicely. Put a little drip edge at the bottom, just to keep it honest. I doubt the water will ever make it back that far. Alright, now it's time for the Shou Sugi. So I've got pieces of varying widths, and thankfully one piece is going to be able to be long enough to do both sides of the angle. I'm going to cut them with that same 15-degree miter on both sides so that corner matches up nicely. I'm going to use my cutting platform here to set up a jig. Yeah, I looked at 85 degrees and figured, hey, that's 15 less than 100. However, I forgot I was subtracting from 90. So yeah, that's a 5-degree angle. I need 15. So I'm looking for 75 degrees, not 85. I'll finish the cut off the edge. Hey, train's here. I was getting a little worried. Been filming for 3 days now, and no trains yet. Hello, old friend. Let me say there were trains, I just didn't happen to have the camera on when they passed by. Alright, let's see how this fits. Yeah, not bad. But thankfully they'll be the same size going both ways, so I can set up, make all the same cuts. Got my stopper in place. I'm happy with that. It's definitely an organic look. Now I need to cut a bunch. When I ripped down these 2x4s years ago, I made these over 4 years ago now. I cut them into various lengths, or widths rather, and that will allow me to add some variation as I go up this column. I realized something, and I'm glad I realized it now versus later. It's the back length that matters versus the front length here. So the length on the surface that gets nailed against the sheathing is the 7 3/4. The front length is going to be variable depending on how thick that is. So I actually need to set my piece against the back of my jig versus having it against the front. But I do need to recheck that measurement. Alright, I'm glad I checked that. It was about a 1/4 inch off. I've adjusted my stop block and I should be good to go. So now I just got to make about 1,000 cuts. I'm such a dork. Here's something that every old DIYer needs, which is bifocal safety glasses. Got readers down here, clear up here, otherwise I'm doing this with my glasses all day. Train's here. I love that sound. Reminds me of home. Growing up as a military kid, home was actually my grandparents' house. We moved around so much. That was the one constant place in my life. In fact, that's now where my parents live, so it's still in the family. And so is the train. Whew, Shou Sugi. I love this technique, and actually I have a fair amount left over to do another project, or at least another accent on a project. I may do that on the tiny studio build I've got coming up. If you'd like to see the video where I made the Shou Sugi on a rocket stove, no big surprise there, I'll link that in the card above and the description. Normally Shou Sugi is done with cedar. This was just some pine 2x4, so I'm not sure it would stand up really well to being an exterior that is subject to the weather. Here, it's gonna be fairly sheltered underneath this overhang, so it'll be just fine in this application. All right, I'm gonna go wash my face and my hands. A little bit dirty, just a little bit. And I added this to my face for effect. I'm really happy with how well the jig worked. It's a great time saver. I'm gonna seal a few of the larger cracks here and then hit the sides of the wood that are unsealed with some black spray paint. The spray paint is gonna soak really nicely into this end grain and help seal it. I'm not worried about overspray onto this because I'm gonna come back and paint this gray. I'm also gonna hit some of the areas where the sides of the 2x4s are revealed and I can still see the brown of the pine. I'm really happy with how this turned out and how well this Shou Sugi bond held up for 4 years. It is a thing of beauty out of ashes, so to speak. With all this trim being painted gray, this column of charred black wood is going to be a nice accent. Can't forget the first half of this project. There's the siding on this side. So I've got actually 2 more videos on this project. One will be a deck that's gonna extend the concrete section here, and then the last one will be painting. There's actually a fair amount of interior work I still need to do, but I really need to get on to the studio build project over at Music on Main Street. So I am gonna allow myself to finish this project with the exterior, and then I'll pick up again with the interior work with a rocket mass heater and covering up the walls once it gets cold again. And I'll make sure to show you the switch over from the screens to the windows. Special thanks to my patrons and members for helping make these videos possible. And thank you to Tim and Rihanna for joining in today. I also want to thank those of you who are very frequent in the comments. Motorsports88, Fred McIntyre, and all of you that leave comments and suggestions and ideas. I really do appreciate it. As always, my mission here at GreenShortz is to help you see green so you can be green, and save a little green by doing it yourself. In this case, I'm saving a lot of green because I'm reusing lumber that I salvaged. Technically, it's lumber I already paid for, but I'm using it again, and that's especially important right now when lumber prices are so high. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next Saturday.